Lieutenant, we were just talking about your car. It's really nice.
Oh.
Is it European?
Yeah, it's a French car.
That's a Peugeot coupe. This is a classic. This car's worth a lot of money today. Bet you get a lot of offers, huh?
Oh, are you kidding? You know there's not a day goes by somebody don't want to buy it? Well, I don't want to make a killing on a car. What for?
Oh, if you're comfortable with it, you know,
Right.
why sell it?
Right.
Money's not everything.
How about your suit? You get a lot of offers on that too?
Oh, come on, you guys, you're pulling my leg for crying out loud. You know what the wife says? She's going to send it out to be cleaned and burned.
He's got a good sense of humor.
Oh, he's good.
Well, I like to laugh.
Hello, Columbo fans, and welcome to the very first episode of Season 4 of the Columbo Confab podcast. And joining me, as always, 200 miles away, is Steve. How you doing, Steve?
Toodles.
No, you say toodles when you say goodbye.
Oh, it's not like aloha.
No,
Or-
it's
or
you can
Mushi mushi in Japanese.
No, it means goodbye.
Okay.
And this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. So tonight we're going to review the 1986 Rodney Dangerfield classic comedy Back to School.
You know, let's review that. You start with your thoughts of, tell me what the plot is, basically, of Back to School. You don't remember.
I don't remember the movie. It's probably been since 1987 since I saw it, so...
Yeah, me too. I remember seeing that in the theater. And
he had to dive, the triple Lindy or something.
I just remember there was, he went to school with back to college, and he went with his son, and he just partied a lot, and yeah. But no, we're not going to watch that. We're going to travel to fictional Fremont College, otherwise known in real life as Pepperdine University. And we're going to talk about Columbo Goes Columbo Goes to College. It looked familiar to me because I remember receiving mail from them when I was a sprouting high school senior, because apparently my academics impressed them. Whatever.
Really?
It certainly wasn't my sportsman skill.
So you think you would have joined a fraternity like Theta Epsilon?
No, I did not want to go to. I did not want to go to college at all. So I ended up going to a Columbia College in downtown Chicago.
Or a frat boy? Were you a frat boy?
I was not a frat boy at all. I was more of a frat. No, I've never in my life been a frat boy. Never.
Nice.
How about you? I'm curious.
No, I never joined a fraternity. I never did the Greek culture thing. My roommate was, and so I went to a lot of their parties, but no, never got into that.
I didn't. Okay, in hindsight, maybe it might have been fun, but then I would have probably been drinking too much, and I would never have gotten any studying done, and I wouldn't have had the grades that I did because I didn't start drinking and all that until after college.
Until you start podcasting, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't help either. But so I was very thankful that although this is called Columbo Goes to College, that
or this also could be called Saved by the Bell, the college years.
Yeah. Mario Lopez, he'd make a great Columbo murderer, not. So I was really glad when this first came on. I remember watching this when it first came on, and it never struck me that these guys were as big douches as they are when I'm watching it for this.
Oh yeah.
But the big selling point I remember for the commercials and all that was that Robert Culp was in it. And so I think that there were some people that were disappointed to find out that Robert Culp is not the murderer. And it's actually these two guys that I recognize one from a movie. The other one I recognize. The actors' names are Stephen Caffrey and Gary Hershberger. And for you Twin Peaks fans, Gary Hershberger was in the first few episodes of the show. He played Bobby's best friend. Bobby, coincidentally, who was played by a gentleman who is Daphne Ashbrook's brother. So, for you Doctor Who fans, yeah. But I was afraid, I was doing my WWST. What would Steve think? And I was wondering, were you going to think that Columbo actually went back to college and took classes?
Well, the title kind of said that, but they explained it immediately that he was going to be a speaker at one of these courses, or one of the what was the course?
It was a criminology course.
Criminology,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. But it would have been funny if you had to go back to school. I don't know how they would explain it. That'd be more of a comedy, like the mentioned Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
And thank God they did not go that route.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you explain for the kind folks a little bit about what happens here? A refresher. What happens in this story leading up to the murder?
Oh, all right. Thank you, Sean, for giving me the open mic.
I usually do. You usually do this. This is usually your thing.
Oh, it's my thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the opening scene is with Cooper. He's the blonde-headed kid. He's driving his cool, souped-up Toyota truck. It was interesting because I guess they removed the Toyota thing on the back of the tailgate, but whatever. Very nice truck. I wouldn't mind driving something like that. It looked kind of cool. But it was just so... Oh, God. I don't know. It was such a douche. Actually, the other guy, too, Justin, they're both douches. And I wanted to ask you this. In regards to both Cooper and Justin, did it seem to you that Justin had probably done some bad things in his life and really wanted to just kill somebody and wanted to pull Coop in?
Yes. Yes!
Because Coop is kind of a gullible...
Yes.
Dimwit.
They didn't... This was implied, kind of, but I wouldn't be surprised if Justin has some skeletons literally in his closet.
Yeah, because there's one scene where, immediately after the murder, they're in a bar, and they're talking about a dead body, and someone at the table asks Justin if he's ever seen a dead body before. And he says, yes, but I don't want to go into it now. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. They drop it. So we don't know what exactly.
Yeah, there are
how
other...
he saw a dead body.
And I think, this, I'm guessing here, but this may have been loosely based on the story of Leopold and Loeb back in the 1920s, two University of Chicago students who killed somebody, like, just for the hell of it, to see that they could do it. And
yeah, I think definitely Justin was like that.
Yeah.
There's a scene, and we're just going to skip forward a little, but there's a scene where they're plotting how to kill Professor Rusk. And they're both laying in bed, and it just seems like Justin is just kind of prodding Coop along to get him to go along with this crazy scheme. I don't know.
But you know what's so sad is that his motive for doing this is that if he doesn't get into Harvard Law School, his father is going to kill him. Whereas
that's another thing. Justin doesn't have much to lose.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, compared to Cooper, his father flat out says, you get another girl pregnant or you screw up again,
we will disown you. You are out.
Yeah, you're out.
Yeah,
it's over for you. But for Justin, his father, Robert Culp, by the way, very powerful. I mean, he could have gotten him back into the school.
Yeah.
The father. The only thing that the father is kind of guilty of with Justin is he's not a great dad. He's verbally abusive.
Yeah.
But I think Justin would have still been at school.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a possibility that Justin, if he had the truck, could have done this all by himself without Cooper's help. Mm-hmm. And I think that he may have been able to get away with it. And this is jumping way forward, but I think that these two, or at least Justin, are going to get out of prison on a technicality.
Oh yeah,
because
we always discuss this. Will they go to jail? Yeah, I think definitely. Well, Cooper's disowned. I think his father will have abandoned him at this point.
Yeah.
At the end of this episode, but yeah, I think Justin gets out and continues his lifestyle. So just that really, Justin had nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. I think he just wanted to kill somebody. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just evil. And what else I was going to say was that Justin has the technology and how to use technology, where it seems like, because like with the RC car with the camera, he's the one that stole the test. He figured that out. So he's more technically minded, like to rig things up, like he did with the murder, or the way the murder was committed in this one. Where Coop is just, I think he's just kind of floating through life. Mm-hmm. That's my impression of him.
Yeah. And you could say that Justin used Coop for his big car and the fact that he was parked across from Professor Rusk the whole time. So, but one fun thing about this episode is that this is one of those. There's only two really, where there are two murderers together that are sort of, it's not like where there's two murderers and then one of them kills the other or anything like that. These are just from beginning to end. Two murderers. They're being interviewed together by Columbo, and I really like that. And they've only done it once before in one of the old '70s ones. It's the one where he went to London. But I like that. I think it's a really cool idea, and I really like the idea that these are probably the youngest Columbo murderers, and the idea that they're college kids and they're not professionals. And they really do think that they've got everything to lose. Justin may even think that himself, even though he doesn't. Maybe Cooper does, but as you just said. But
then we find out Cooper he's been screwing around. He's gotten 3 girls pregnant in 18 months.
Yeah, that's a
it's
lot.
Called the condom.
That's
called
lot.
The condom Coop.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see how hairy his hands were? Anyway.
Who?
Cooper. When they pulled out the little TV screen in class.
I didn't know.
Oh my God! For a white blonde guy, those were some hairy hands. So they decide that they're going to kill Professor Rusk, who's going to expose their cheating in school, and they're going to do it by rigging a gun into Cooper's truck, which is parked across the street. Across the lot from in the parking lot of Professor Rusk's car. And during class, when they have a special guest speaker, Professor Rusk will hopefully go to some restaurant to meet Justin's dad.
But we also need to bring up that Professor Rusk has some skeletons in his closet too. Yeah. So he's been screwing the college basketball coach's wife, Judy
Clark.
Or June Clark. I'm sorry. And so it doesn't help that June is lying to Columbo later in the episode about their relationship and how often they meet. But because honestly, Justin and Cooper really set it up. I know they said that Professor Rusk had a lot of enemies that wanted to see him dead, but I'm surprised they didn't throw Columbo off completely.
They did.
There were a lot of.
They tried.
They tried, but there was. We'll get there. This is a scene I really enjoy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Professor Rusk, he had been sleeping around, and as a matter of fact, the night he confronts the two boys about stealing the test, he goes off to the local steak and ale to meet June, and they get into an argument.
Mm-hmm. And she just yells at him and leaves the restaurant, and they happen to see this because they're following him.
Right.
So they know not only does she have a motive to kill the professor, but Justin knows because he reads his father's mail and listens to his phone calls.
I know. And now he has his father's office bugged.
Yeah, that breaks. Yeah,
that's weird.
That is definitely really weird. That is one way to learn the law, though. I'll tell you that much. But what a little shit. I mean, if I was Robert Culp, I'd give him a good spanking when this was all done. He really needs it, and I don't mean that in a sexual way at all. Not at all. But he knows that there are others that are out to kill Professor Rusk, like organized crime types, and so they jerry up this thing with the gun in the car, and they also at one point early on, there's this hapless security guard.
Yeah, Joe.
And they steal his keys, make a copy of it.
No. So do they steal Joe's keys, or do they steal a copy of Dominic, Joe's brother, who's a convict? Do they steal? I thought they went to Dominic's apartment.
No, they go to Joe's apartment. I was confused by this because when Columbo goes to visit Dominic later on, it looks just like Joe's apartment. But remember, it does say Joseph Doyle on the little doorknob outside. And also when they go inside, one of them says, "Oh, Joe really lives in style." But it looks kind of the same. And they do this because they want to steal Joe's gun?
Right.
And frame his brother Dominic.
Can we rewind a little back to one scene before what you're
Okay,
about to
sure,
say?
that's fine.
Where they steal the key. So, I don't know if you've ever cut keys or bought a key, duplicate of a key at the local Home Depot.
Oh, yeah.
But those things never work the first time, and they don't ever work smoothly the first time. I was really impressed with the college. I mean, Justin he knows everything. He can cut keys, he can steal tests, he can make robots and A-bombs out of his garage. I mean, I'm just surprised. Where was the key cutter? And that was confusing.
Okay, because I got the impression it was right around the corner.
Yep.
But
he cut it himself. But no, I mean, if you ever cut keys, one of my first jobs out of college was a assistant apartment manager, and I had to cut keys. I'm telling you, man, it doesn't work that cleanly. Those keys do come out rough, and so I don't know. But the thing is, they stole the key to his apartment, which means they would have had to return it to him later that night. And he runs down the hallway, turns around the corner. And the next thing, was there a key-cutting metal shop right around the corner? It had to be. Yeah.
Okay. Unless Joe just happened to have a spare set of keys.
I guess maybe the janitor, and maybe in the janitor's closet there was something like that.
Okay.
And by the way, was the janitor in this episode, was he like a regular?
No, I don't think so.
Because he kind of had an attitude with Columbo, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was very funny.
He's like, "Oh, thank you," and he goes, "You're welcome."
There was stuff that maybe wasn't even in the script that guy did. Like when he walks up to the office and he walks away, he waves out the cigar smoke.
Yeah, maybe.
So
I want to go back to Justin's parents, or his not his father, Robert Culp. Which, by the way, you could say Robert Culp normally is the murderer, but his son is now the murderer.
Yeah, it's like
so there was a legacy there. Yeah. But no, so was there an Oedipus? I'm sorry, is it Oedipus?
Yeah, that's the
Oedipus
word.
Complex.
Oh,
is there an
yeah.
Oedipus Complex going with the mother there? That was weird.
It was a 1-minute scene with him and his mother in front of a mirror, and he kisses and caresses her neck. I think Justin has some problems.
Oh yeah. He's got some mental issues.
Oh yeah.
He's basically the next Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh god. Yeah. Where were we in this? Oh yes. I want. Okay, so they steal the apartment of Joe's.
There's just so much, really. There's so much to unpack in this podcast.
They steal the key to Joe's apartment, get in there, and they're going to steal Joe's gun to frame up his brother Dominic. And we know this because when they break into Joe's apartment, or use the key to get into Joe's apartment, apparently his brother likes to sign photos of himself, just like Tony Goodland. To my brother Joe, love Dominic. And there's a picture. Just shelve that away for later. What I don't understand, though, is why would the writers... Well, I think I know the answer to this question. Why, instead of them stealing Joe's gun to frame his brother, why can't they just steal Joe's gun to frame Joe? Is it because it wouldn't make sense for a felon to be a security guard at a college?
Well, and I think it would be a kind of a dead giveaway. They've got Dominic. He's got 23 convictions, or he's been in jail 23 times, something like that. Oh, he's arrested 23 times.
Okay.
So again, they're setting up all these great leads for Columbo. They've got Dominic. They've got the wife.
They've got Mrs. Clark or Mrs. Rusk, the coach's wife.
Yeah. So there's also they talked about the how Rusk is investigating a drug crime lord or something like that in Arizona, which is actually no, that's not true. I'm going to back that up. But that does come up. But he's made many enemies because of his books. They just really set up a perfect whodunit because it makes more sense that one of those characters did it than these two guys.
But the way that we'll get there in a minute, but. This is one of those rare episodes where Columbo actually shows up before the murder is committed. Those rare episodes.
That's true.
And I remember
I did notice it.
The first one that we did, it was Murder: A Self-Portrait, and you asked me, does he do that in all the 90s ones, show up before the murder? And this time it didn't seem forced. It didn't seem, even though I liked when he did that with the Basset Hahn pageant, but just having him, lecture to a group full of college kids was really enjoyable. And also it contained a spoiler for an earlier Columbo episode, which is interesting.
The Dublin?
No. There's another one. I won't say what the episode title is, but Devlin. Somebody asks him about the Devlin case.
Yeah, I meant Devlin. I'm sorry, I said Dublin. I thought it was Dublin, but it's Devlin.
Devlin was the name of the guy from the Conspirators. And that's when I first saw that. I thought they're going to talk about that. No, and he says, the Devlin case is the one where somebody in the racetrack strangles a jockey.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, that's not what that is. Why can't they talk about Joe Devlin? I don't know. But there's something that he says in the classroom that's a spoiler for an early '90s episode.
Is it the gum one?
Yeah, that's.
That was a real Columbo case. I thought he was. BS.
That was the end of an episode that we haven't covered yet, and I was like, "Ooh, why do that?"
Now I want to see that one.
Well, we'll get there.
What's the episode name?
I'm not going to tell. I'm not telling.
Oh.
I'm not telling. We'll get there when we get there. If I tell you the episode name, then you'll remember it, and then you'll be watching, and you'll be like, "Oh, this is the one with the gum," and yeah.
It makes no sense because when you chew gum, it's never mind. Yeah. It's not like one bite. You constantly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question. There is a scene at the very beginning with Justin and Coop where when Justin tells Cooper he's got the test, and they start wrestling.
Oh God, I knew you were going to bring this up.
And then there's another scene where they're before the murder, they're conspiring how to kill Professor Rusk, and Justin is obviously sleeping naked.
How do you know that? He could have shorts on.
I like to believe he's sleeping naked.
So you want to believe that Justin and Cooper are gay lovers?
I think I'm hinting that that's a possibility.
Okay, if Mrs. Columbo doesn't exist, then I say they're gay lovers. But I don't think
she does not exist, and there's proof in this episode, sir. And I will.
Oh, is there, sir?
There is.
Okay. What is the proof?
I'm gonna bring it up later.
Okay,
no, later.
All right. Okay.
I want to savor this because I know our fans agree with me.
Well, wait until I read the feedback. That's all I gotta say.
I don't believe anybody would disagree with me.
So they kill Professor Rusk, and which, by the way, is probably the bloodiest murder that I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, blood like splatters on the car, and then when they go to the body, there's a pool of blood.
Yeah.
That he's laying in.
And what's so weird? Then after they do it and they see it in the little TV screen, everybody in the audience or in the classroom claps at Columbo as if they're clapping for the murder. So what if? Let me ask you this: what if? So Justin gets the professor to leave the school by telling him that his father wants to meet him at some restaurant.
Right.
So the professor has second like thoughts about it. He's not sure if he kind of hems and haws. Justin has to remind him how much his father has donated to the school.
Yeah.
And then the professor just goes. Okay. And
right.
That's what kills him. What if the professor didn't go? It was almost like the flip.
There's a lot of what ifs in this one. There's a lot of very. There's a lot of moments where things could have gone south easily.
Like the aim of the gun and getting it in the first shot.
Yeah. And how they test that? They had to have tested that. How they test that without, parking it and security noticing?
I don't know. I you know what? I like to believe that they tested it before, that we just didn't get to see it, and that I think that we know that. I mean, watching it, you know that the gun must be planted somewhere in their truck, and
no, I didn't get that at all.
Really?
Not until the end. I wasn't real sure how they did it.
Okay,
but they did it. They obviously did it. I just didn't know how. I thought it was interesting. While Justin, obviously, he's a techno geek. He knows how to, I'm pretty sure he's the one that rigged up the gun, the camera, the RC car. I mean, like, he knows how to do that stuff. Columbo, the exact opposite. And there's a scene where he arrives at the university. He arrives on campus to park, and he talks to the intercom. He goes, "Oh, I'm a special guest of the professor," and he says, "I'm with LAPD." He shows the keypad. Now this is from the camera angle from up above. He shows the keypad his ID. There's no camera, but that's what he's talking into. Does that make sense? I
didn't even think about that. I didn't even notice that. That's funny. That's brilliant.
So the guy can't see because he's showing the keypad his ID, not any camera.
It's true. No, he does. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's true. Huh.
But Columbo, he never understands technology. Like, he doesn't even know the cameras. Like, what kind of camera is that? I don't know.
Does it cause brain cancer? My cousin says it causes brain.
Oh, there's right with his cell phone.
There's one where he doesn't even know how to work a fax machine. Like, the whole concept of fax machines it baffles me. I don't know.
He's a quick learner. I mean, he learns this stuff so fast. How does he not understand? But if they ever do, I know. I was thinking about this when watching. You keep saying they're going to do a reboot of the series with Mark Ruffalo or whatever to play Columbo. Whoever, if they do that, Columbo has to be a complete moron with technology.
Oh yeah,
they cannot have him understand, apps or I don't know any modern technology.
Like maybe he has a cell phone, but it would be a flip phone.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And maybe he has a flat screen TV, but he doesn't have a Roku. He just spends.
No, he has a VHS. He has a VHS tape hooked up to it.
Like my parents. Oh, drives me crazy.
Okay, where were we? Anyways, okay, so after the murder, I got the impression, because Columbo, after doing his lecture, he's walking down the stairs, down the hallway with the students. He's like, "Where did Professor Rusk go? Where did he go after the murder? Where was he going?" I think he said it like 5 times.
Yeah. Where the hell was he going?
Where was he going? Why wasn't he there to say goodbye? Like, it really bothered him that Rusk didn't stay around to listen to him talk.
Yeah. Well, I guess did it bother him more the fact that Rusk was killed? I don't know. But
no, he was upset that Rusk didn't stay around to listen.
That would be kind of rude. That would be kind of rude, don't you think?
Yeah.
Now,
well, I mean, and honestly, I mean, we don't know at the beginning of the episode that Justin's father is he's like the attorney for the university.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been some huge repercussions, Professor Rusk.
That's true.
So we don't know at the time, but later when we find out that Robert Culp is his dad, that he would have a lot of sway, I think, within the university. That's why I think if he would have gotten in trouble, his father would have gotten him back in. Easy.
So there's a great clue, and the way that he figures out where the professor was going is the fact that the professor had a pill in his pocket that he later finds out is cholesterol for cholesterol. And
I take those.
Me too. Ding, 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 ding.
We're old.
Yeah, and Columbo says, "Oh yeah, these really work. I was at 310, brought me down to 220. That's still terrible cholesterol.
It's all the damn chili.
I take it too, and I went down to, I can't remember if it was 76 or 78, and I was so proud because that's like the cholesterol of a 10-year-old. But 210 is not a good cholesterol level, I don't think. I think it needs to be like around 150. And also, you don't have to eat with cholesterol pills anymore. At least if you have.
Well, maybe back then. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So the Columbo put pieces together that he's carrying on the dead body. He's got a pill. He's got his cholesterol pill. So that means he's got to go eat. He's going somewhere to eat.
Right.
He didn't invite Columbo. That upsets him. So he tells some random cop who's standing in the corner, I want you to go find all the restaurants within 10, 15 minutes that are around here that aren't fast food. The guy says, I'll get that to you in 10 minutes.
No.
Sean, I couldn't do that in 10 minutes with Google.
I was just going to say I could do it with Yelp, maybe. But you're right. And then he
the yellow pages? No.
Yeah. I must have been super cop there. Something light, salad, maybe fish.
Antipasta, yeah.
But there's an interesting scene then where he goes around to the restaurants. Mm-hmm. And the scene is comical at first. He's like, well, I'm looking for a reservation for Mr. Rowe. Because he finds out that the that Rusk called ahead to tell Mr. Rowe that he would be late. Boom! That's the first thing that went wrong.
No Rowe.
There's no Mr. Rowe. He goes this one restaurant, and then Mater D's like, no Mr. Rowe. No Mr. Rowe. He says it like 3 times, which is kind of funny, but then it's important later on because he hangs out with the kids at Darlene's, and somebody calls Justin Mr. Rowe. And boom!
That's his hint.
Yep. He's onto him. Not onto him, I think 100%. But interested.
So when Columbo starts going to restaurants, did the first maitre d' look like Peter Capaldi?
Yes! At least when they first walk in and you see him sort of out of focus in the foreground with the hair. Yes. I'm like...
That's a Doctor Who reference, ladies and gentlemen.
So
immediately, after the scenes with the restaurants, Columbo decides he's going to go investigate the coach's wife, June Clark. Mm-hmm. And everything she says in that conversation is a lie.
Which is interesting, yeah. I wouldn't have expected that. I didn't remember that at all.
Because she says, like, I haven't seen Professor Rusk in 3 months?
Yeah. And obviously she just saw him last week.
Right. Now, after that, all the reporters are on the scene. Columbo purposely bumps into, well, I want to say Coop and Justin purposely bump into Columbo after that. And so they're going to do a little investigation. They're going to go to the Steak and Ale where they saw Rusk and Mrs. Clark. And here's where the fun begins for me. This is at the point where I want them to be caught. Is when they start making fun of Columbo.
Yes! And he's making a phone call and watching them out the window. And they're doing this imitation, albeit good imitations. And yeah.
Justin's got him down. The sociopath has him down.
And it's like, we obviously make fun of Columbo, but we love Columbo. But you can't make fun of Columbo when you don't like him. I mean, they genuinely think that he's a fucking idiot, and they're playing a game with him.
Oh yeah, they even say they can't believe he's swallowing the whole story.
Yeah,
there's a. Yeah, on the trip to the Steak and Ale. I'm surprised you're not hitting me on why I'm saying Steak and Ale.
I don't remember what the restaurant was either.
It looked like a Steak and Ale. You remember eating at Steak and Ale?
No.
Oh wow. Okay, so on the trip over, they're like, "Okay, Coop, you got to make fun of his car. You got to make fun of that car. Oh, and you got to make fun of the way he dresses. I mean, it's just they are just mean."
And there is a moment during that conversation, though, when they're walking into the Steak and Ale, where they're laughing. Like, you know, they say something about his tailor, and he's like, "Oh, you guys are pulling my leg." Oh, and then he turns around and looks at him and says, "Well, I like to laugh," and that sort of stopped them in their tracks, like almost like, oh no, he kind of knows you guys are being assholes, so maybe you should shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, it's that kind of that. You know, I don't know if you remember being that young, Sean, but at that age, I remember it with my parents. Like, I knew more than they did.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like, you know, I can make fun of them and they won't even know it.
Yeah.
My parents are clueless. That kind of thing, and that's what they're doing. And I don't think I figured that my parents probably were on to me until I was probably in my 40s, that I was really being a jerk.
Uh-huh.
You know? And so they're playing the part of these young, stupid kids. Get off my lawn! I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
getting old.
You know, I looked into this and I thought, are they like Generation X? And they're technically older than us by a few years. I mean, I was 15 when this came out, and they are 22 or 21 or 22. But we are considered, along with them, Generation X. So that made me wonder if people that were older than us think Generation Xers are as annoying as we think millennials are. Because
millennials are very annoying, and I'm sorry if you're listening to the podcast, but
there might be a few. I could see how this could be kind of a hipster thing, but
they're probably the same people that think Columbo actually has a wife.
Okay. All right. So then he does this strange thing where he calls the sergeant or whatever and asks, and I almost hit the rewind key because I thought I missed something. He asks him if there were any airplane tickets in the professor's briefcase,
right.
Specifically any airplane tickets to Phoenix, Arizona, I think.
No, he doesn't specify.
He doesn't say
he does
Phoenix airline tickets.
No, he makes that's This relates back to when the college kid during the lecture asked, "Did you ever make up evidence?" Columbo is making up evidence at this point. Now he knows there's no plane ticket. He starts throwing that out. Whoever would recognize the plane ticket would be a high suspect.
Yeah, because
there is no plane ticket.
Right. So what he does, he goes to the. Go ahead.
Well, no. So June Clark doesn't know anything about the plane tickets. His wife doesn't know anything about the plane tickets. But who does know about the plane tickets, even though they don't exist, is Coop and Justin. They're like, oh yeah, he talked about going to Phoenix. They talked to the FBI agent about that. And so that was he knew. As soon as they recognized the plane tickets that never existed in the first place.
That's when he knew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the only time in Columbo history where somebody just gets caught up making a complete fucking lie out of thin air. And that it's not the getcha clue at the end, but it's the one that gets Columbo to, they're suspects number 1 and 2 at this point.
Well, and I want to think, now we like to talk in this podcast, when did Columbo know? For me, I think Columbo knew was just a little bit before this. When they started making fun of him, I think he became very suspicious of them, because they were playing him. When do you think Columbo knew?
I think
were the murders?
The moment that he found out that Justin's last name was Rowe. That was a strange coincidence, and Justin then became a suspect. But when they were at that stupid frat party with the Bahama shorts and the black ties, and they start making up lies.
That was such a college thing back when I was in school.
Really? That was a thing?
Oh, yes.
Wow. Okay.
You never went to those kind of parties?
Never went to those kind of parties. But that's
because you didn't go to what's the name of the college? Fremont College.
Yeah.
If you went to Fremont College, Sean, you definitely would have seen that.
There were no fraternities or sororities in my college. Everybody was too busy just making movies and smoking pot and riding the L train. My college
sounds like a fraternity already.
Well, my fraternity, my college was in downtown Chicago, right there in the city. So
there was no business fraternity. I'm surprised.
No, it was a fine arts school. So I think to have a fraternity would be sort of like, I think they wouldn't want a fraternity, but I mean they had groups that you could join. But anyway, so when they both start lying about the plane ticket that doesn't exist, that's when Columbo realizes it's got to be both. It's got to be both of them.
It has to be.
Yeah. So. And so.
Well, for a while, even though we know who the murderers are, and we know June Clark is not the killer, even though all signs point to her, we found out that Mrs. Rusk and June Clark met to discuss things about the love relationship the night of the murder. So
why didn't June tell him that? It would have given her a great alibi.
What was the secret? I mean, was it she didn't want her husband to know? Maybe I don't know.
Possibly.
She was prime suspect, in my opinion, at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know why she didn't tell the truth. That would have
been more important. Her freedom would have been more important than her marriage.
Yeah. So, all right. So, and then enter Robert Culp, because he's having a big soiree.
This is when, if you're getting bored with the episode, it kicks it back up to 10. Yes. So Robert Culp, what a complete ass! He treats Columbo so poorly, and it's so funny. The way he's so condescending. Robert Culp in every episode he's been in on Columbo, he always just has that superiority complex with Columbo. He's the alpha male in every scene. He's such an ass, and Columbo always wins.
Yeah.
But in this, it's just the same thing. He's just like, what? You haven't read his books? How long have you been on this case? You're looking at love relations when you should be looking at this. You need to read this book, and you need to read this book.
And what have you been doing? Well, I've been talking to Mrs. Clark and Mrs. Rusk. Oh, and I've been talking to the kids. And did
you know? And did you know
kids.
She had an extramarital relationship? It's like, Columbo seems so out of his element with Culp's multiple characters. In these shows.
It's a padded scene, but it's it doesn't seem like that because it's a really fun scene, and it's sort of an in joke for people that have seen all the old Columbos, because if you haven't seen any of them and if you've just seen the 90s ones, you don't know who Robert Culp is in the Columbo zeitgeist. But yeah, he pretty much plays the exact same character that he did in all the others that we watched. Actually, more so in the one that we did earlier for this season, Most Crucial Game.
Well, there's a scene back when Justin and Cooper are making fun of Columbo, and they're leaving Columbo at the local restaurant, and they said, "Wait until I unleash my father on him." He knows.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Columbo. Oh my God.
So
they should give him a promotion just dealing with Robert Culp.
I wrote in my notes that if Robert Culp is this high-powered criminal attorney, wouldn't it make sense in the real world that he would have heard of Columbo, who has put away all of these famous murderers? But that's not how it works on the show.
No, it's I notice with all these episodes, it's always white collar versus blue collar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got Joe, you've got Dominic, you've got the people who work at the country bar, the waiters, the bartenders, and then you've got the Robert Culps of the world.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's absolutely true. Even in the last episode that we watched, Identity Crisis, you have guy Lawrence Melville. You've got who they frame for the crime. You've got the bartender. You've got a bunch of basically schlubs, and then there's our murderer, who is this intelligent, brilliant, rich, wealthy man.
They live in these beautiful, expensive houses. How many square feet do they have? it's just yeah.
The only episode I think that didn't go with that was maybe the Conspirators, the one that I brought up earlier, with Joe Devlin as the alcoholic Irish poet. I think he had money, but he didn't show it off.
He had money because he had those pinball machines, and those back then were very expensive.
He didn't live in a huge mansion, like Fielding Chase. He just lived it looked like a little cottage by a lake. He didn't dress. He dressed almost like Columbo.
Well, so let's go back to Justin, where he's bugged his father's office, which is very bizarre.
Oh man.
I like there was a thing where they're laughing at the dress down that Columbo's getting from Culp. The boys are listening in, and I don't remember which one said it. It was probably Justin, because he's the mean one. He's the evil one. He says, "Do you think Columbo's parents are related?"
Oh
God. Oh, you just want to see him get nailed at this point. Oh, what an asshole.
And then they get their...
Do you think his parents are related? Oh, jeez.
They get their beating...
I think I laughed out loud when I heard that.
They get their beating down when actually Culp brings up the fact that his son is actually kind of a loser, and Cooper is a bigger loser because he can't stop getting little girls pregnant.
Yeah.
And
he gives it to him. Yeah.
I wrote down I was very happy to see that they didn't have any Asian servants, by the way.
Yeah, they're all Hispanic.
So, I don't know. Is that a move in the right direction? I don't know.
Well, it's still racist.
Yeah. I just don't know what it is with all the Asian servants.
If they do a reboot of Columbo, I want the reversal. I want an Asian family or Hispanic family, and they have white servants.
Yeah, I want George Takei as a murderer. He wouldn't be a very good murderer. That wouldn't be good.
I don't think he's gonna be.
No,
his career's over now. But anyway. So
oh, you mean because of the scandal, or because he's just old?
No, well, I was thinking of the scandal.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Okay, so the we forgot one character who's been kind of interlaced through this whole murder mystery, is the dean of the college, Mark Gillespie.
Is that really his name, Mark Gillespie?
Well, Gillespie's the last name. I just assume it's Mark.
Oh, okay, all right. He says that because we know Mark Gillespie, but he doesn't listen to this.
So, anyways, Gillespie is as the dean of the college. He was not able, ladies and gentlemen, to recruit Sean Homrig to the college. So, his loss.
What?
He didn't recruit you. He didn't bring you into the school.
No? Okay, I'm cutting that out. I don't know what the hell that was. It was a joke that I didn't get. I don't know.
No, keep it in.
Okay. Oh, drinks. Thank you for coming.
Okay, so the breaking clue on the case is someone has film of a different camera angle that shows how the murder was committed.
Like the murderer's point of view, almost.
Yeah. And it was interesting. Columbo had to go, I guess, to this studio, to the TV studio, which again, not good to have Columbo go to a recording studio ever. Do you think this was the recording studio from Crime Alert?
Probably. I'm sure if we do a compare, we'll see that it looks pretty much the same.
Yeah, there's no George Hamilton in this one.
And he went in there. They didn't do the old, him walking on a hot set. But the producer, or whoever it was that he goes to talk to about, she's really mean to him. The way she talks to him,
because she knows who he is. It's like, I know you screw up every time we start to record something.
Yeah, every time someone around here commits a murder, you come in here and screw things up on a hot set. Yeah.
And then she says, I'm going to quote vaguely. She says something like, the person who they bought the footage from recorded off of an obscure channel And I'm thinking, was this guy recording porn?
You know what? I thought the same thing. And I'm thinking to myself, are they meaning to... Because she says it in such a way that she's like some obscure movie that he was recording, and it's, via satellite. And I thought, is she kind of implying that he was recording porn? That's what I thought, too. Okay. Either that or we just...
Because back then, if you had like those huge, 10... Well, then probably more like 7 feet in diameter satellite dishes, which would have been back then. You pick up channels like in Russia, and I'm sure other adult-oriented entertainment.
Well, they don't have that kind of TV in Russia. I don't know if that would.
Those satellite dishes.
Oh.
Those.
Yeah, I don't know.
What I'm talking about?
I don't. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But
yeah, porn.
I don't know if porn would come up. I thought that would be only if they have cable. And not even real porn. It would be like, why are we talking about this? The point is, both of us came to the same conclusion, which means that we're filthy. We're filthy, dirty old men.
That take cholesterol pills.
Yeah. So, that comes up, and then Columbo goes to their dorm room to talk to them about it. And sets up this phony phone call where they say they found Dominic's car, and it's a gold coupe, license plate, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And so what they do is they take Joe's gun, and they find this car because it's right outside Billy's bar where Dominic always hangs out, and they plant it in the car. And I
like Dominic, by the way. I think he's a fun character.
Really? Okay, all right. He was just kind of like, yeah, well, leave me alone now so I can drink this bottle of scotch. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna make some popcorn or something like that. He's gonna get make popcorn, watch wrestling, and get wasted. Yeah, Dominic doesn't have a lot of goals, but he might be a fun character to hang around with. So, and if you need to hire somebody to kill another person, he's your hitman.
Yeah. So Columbo kind of like does this grand finale where he tells the entire class how the murder was committed.
Oh yes,
which is
of course it had ended this way.
Yeah, this was a great ending to it, because the more he goes into the explanation, the more it becomes obvious that he's talking about Cooper and Justin.
Well, and the end of the episode is coming because there's now police officers in the garage.
Oh yeah,
and they're setting things up. I don't watch the runtime on these things, but again, you can tell when the end's coming.
Even though Columbo didn't have a big rumpled up paper bag, he had something in it that he could.
Or hard-boiled egg, yeah.
So he kind of explains how it's done, and then he says, we found Dominic's car. And, no, this isn't Dominic's car. This is my wife's car. And it turns out that these two guys who had the information about the car planted the gun in the wrong car. And it was only they who could have done it. And I have a complaint about this ending. There's nothing...
Because he doesn't have a wife. I know.
No, that's not my complaint. My complaint is they use the exact same way to catch a killer in an old 70s episode. It's almost the same. But.
So that proves my point that there is no wife because it's a technique he uses before. It's just
But he had a picture of his wife's niece with their dog.
That didn't have to be. That could have been something random. I can't believe I'm going to say this. So Columbo has a thing for young girls. I'm not going to say anymore.
And see, did you hear that? We just lost 15 listeners. No, we have 2 left. Anyway.
The point being is that didn't have to be his wife's niece. It could have been his niece. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true. It's not important, really. It was his wife's car. So,
and I've got proof this episode that he has no wife. So
what is the proof?
going.
What is the proof?
No, keep going.
Because
Keep going.
this is
Let's
pretty.
keep
This is
going.
the ending right now. This is the ending. They say he says to him.
I'll bring it up when we score it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fine.
I want people to listen to the end of the podcast.
Well, even though that's fine. Okay. Teaser coming up at 12. Steve's thoughts on how this episode proves that Mrs. Columbo doesn't exist.
Okay. So yes. So they prove, or Columbo proves with a key fob, because they somehow know they position the truck back to where it was, and with the key fob he presses the button that activates the lock on the truck, fires the gun, and kills the mannequin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And one other clue was that when Justin took off in Cooper's truck on the night of the murder, he didn't unlock the truck. He didn't bother to unlock it because he knew that it was already unlocked.
Yes.
So
actually, Justin is involved in a lot. Anything that has to do with technology, like the cameras recording the footage. This is all Justin. Yeah. So he's obviously the mastermind. And I think it's odd because I don't think the technology actually exists back then that they're talking about. So when the murder was committed at the very beginning, they used a portable television.
Yeah.
I don't think that existed back then. Like the key fob, in a way, that did not exist back then. Yes, you had key fobs that would lock and unlock your door, but have you ever used one of those more than 20 feet away inside a house, let alone concrete barricades in a garage, 3 stories down? Those things don't work that far away.
The farthest that I've gotten mine to work is when I'm in the 4th story of a building, standing outside of a window and pointing it down at my car. It worked.
Right, but
no, I agree.
You had to go down concrete stairs and through the parking garage, which may have been in a different building. I'm not real sure.
But couldn't he have given give it like a stronger frequency or something? I mean, obviously, if they were quote unquote televising the murder through a video camera, couldn't it? I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying. Couldn't he?
I'm listening. Please explain more.
Couldn't he do something to boost the signal between the fob and the mechanism itself? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I do think the technology was possible back then, though. I think you maybe underestimated.
It was very close to being possible, but I don't think having a little portable TV and then I don't know.
I seem to remember my dad had a little portable TV, but it did not look that small. The screen was that small, but it was actually like maybe the size of half the size of a shoebox with a little tiny screen.
Right.
But it was nowhere near as small.
It was a tube television. They didn't have flat screens back then.
Yeah.
It does, But whatever. Okay. So, are you ready to review this episode?
Yeah. So, you go... Okay, tell me your number. You get to go first, because I went first last time.
Uh-huh. So, let's rate this 1 out of 23 arrests that Dominic had.
I knew you were going to pick that.
Oh, you did? No.
Yeah, because you said
so.
Said
Dominic was arrested 23 times as of this episode. So I'm going to give this 1 out of 23. I'm going to give it a solid 18 Dominic arrests.
Wow. Okay.
I like this. Now there were a few flaws here and there, but I think now we've seen 3 of the kind of the 90s episodes that I really enjoy.
3 in a row, actually.
Yeah, so I'm changing my mind. I thought I only liked the earlier stuff, but later stuff I'm liking. This was a good one. I thought the criminals, the 2 guys, were just douchebags. I just wanted to see them get caught so badly. They were played so well by the actors you mentioned earlier. I don't know their names. I thought there was a lot of good misleads. I liked that he used the tickets to Arizona. Columbo used the tickets to Arizona to kind of confirm what he thought. I liked that Columbo was giving a lecture, and students were asking him questions, and it was just it was a good episode. It was a fun episode, and I really enjoyed it. And so, yeah, I think 18 is a good solid number for this one.
And are you going to tell us why you think Mrs. Columbo doesn't exist, or do you want me to...
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so wedding rings were prominent in this episode. So Professor Rusk had a wedding ring. Obviously, his wife in her scene had a wedding ring. Judy Clark wore a wedding ring. You know who didn't wear a wedding ring? Who was married in this episode?
Something tells me it's not going to be Mr. Rowe. Something tells me that it's going to be Columbo.
No, Mr. Rowe had a wedding ring.
Okay.
Columbo married, no wedding ring.
Does he wear a wedding ring in any other episodes?
I'm not comparing that. I'm just to other episodes, just to this one specifically, because I noticed everybody else had a wedding ring except him.
I think...
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
If he's going to lie about his wife so much that he even, talks to her on the phone or pretends to talk to her on the phone...
But he's talking to himself.
That he would go through the trouble of getting a fake wedding ring.
But Columbo he doesn't think it that far through.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, fine, whatever. Someday.
I'm right. I'm right.
No, you're not right. You're just doing this for the sake of doing it. You're like Justin Rowe, except instead of killing people, it's bodies with you. It's
okay.
Okay, so
one. I don't know if I should be insulted or not, but okay. 1 out of 23 arrests for Dominic. What would you give this episode?
Okay, before you even said what your score was. I made the decision that it's 18. It's a really good, solid story. It has its flaws, which we've talked about. I don't understand why Mrs. Clark would lie. I think that the ending was a little bit weak. Because I feel like...
I love the ending. You didn't like that?
Oh, no, everything leading up to the final moment is good. But the clincher clue is something completely stolen from another episode, and I think maybe if there was something I didn't like about this, maybe it was the fact that they relied a lot on luck. But then again, in his little speech to the class, he does say that not only should you keep your mouth shut, but you also need luck, and perhaps that goes for murderers as well as detectives. So. Yeah.
Well,
it's overall,
and the murders had to have a lot of luck because there could have been so many things that did not fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
That again, Rusk had to leave. He had to take the bait.
Mm-hmm.
He had to have his head perfectly aligned with the truck. There were a few other things. I just didn't think they were just a little hard to believe that fit into place for it to happen, but
yeah.
And I don't like the idea that Columbo relies on luck to solve a case. I like to think he tricks the people he's after.
Oh, I agree.
Tricks them.
Yeah.
I like that better. I don't think that's up to luck. I think that's a high intelligence, and I like to think Columbo's actually really like a genius IQ.
Well, when he waved that carrot in front of them with, Dominic's car, it was luck. It was maybe a 50-50 chance that they would go and plant something in it. That was luck right there. He rolled the dice and he got lucky. But then if nothing happened, there's nothing to lose. But it was a really enjoyable thing to watch. This is a pretty highly regarded episode. I think among
really?
among Columbo fandom. I think I liked it more than when I watched it in the past, and I haven't watched it in quite a long time. But I'm glad that our little randomizer picked it. And
me too. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say there's still some real nuggets of shit waiting for you. I'm almost afraid that maybe we have... no, we haven't. I think that there's still some good stuff coming up from the 90s. But... All right, before we get to spinning the swinging wheel of the 70s, we have some feedback. Yay, feedback. First of all, we have got a couple new reviews. And I found out ways to get reviews from other countries on iTunes. Because normally, if we're in the U.S., you go into iTunes, or not iTunes technically, but the Apple Podcast app. You can only read the reviews left by people from the U.S. Same with the U.K. and so on. Well, I found a way so that any reviews left by any other country will be emailed to me. So this is what people have said. Let's see. Somebody said, Party Marty 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 blah 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 from Canada says, I'm currently rewatching all of the Columbo episodes, and this podcast is a great companion piece.
Oh, that's great.
And then Mr. Anselmo from the UK wrote in the same day. It says, the podcast mirrors the show itself, a comfortable, familiar treat that you can throw on anytime and enjoy, like the company of an old friend.
Oh, I love that. It's great.
That's a very sweet.
Yes.
And then we get to Victor.
Wait, what do you mean, and then we get to?
And then we get to the email that was sent to us by Victor. He says, Dear Steve and Sean, I enjoyed your discussion on Make Me a Perfect Murder, and we actually did that a month ago, probably. Is that about right? A month ago? It was a long time ago.
Okay.
But
still starting off nice. Okay.
Yeah. It may be among my top 5 episodes as well, and probably my favorite of the later 70s episodes. I love Patrick Williams' score, especially when Kay is committing the murder. It's probably my second favorite Columbo score after Gil Mellet's scores for Deadweight, and he says A Helping Hand, but it's actually called Death Lends a Hand. Those are 2 episodes that are in the first season. A few points concerning this episode of the podcast. I have a similar reaction to Sean's whenever Steve brings up his "This proves there is no Mrs. Columbo" theory episode after episode. This again, and give it a rest. To paraphrase Terrence Dix, continuity is what you remember from what the other guy wrote. As for Columbo apparently forgetting that he knew how to play this old man in Murder with Too Many Notes, I figure Columbo was just giving the victim's girlfriend something to take her mind off his death. And the fact that someone was grieving and affected by the victim's murder may be the one saving grace of that episode for me.
I agree with Victor so far. Go on.
Okay. And then going back to, well, he does say give it a rest and all that, which was rather rude toward you, don't you think? But he says, it never occurred to me that Kay and the song and dance woman, Valerie, might be lesbians, and 39 years later, it still doesn't. I just took Kay's support of her friend to the point of prematurely running the professional as symbolic of Kay being nurturing and supportive in a way a male executive wouldn't be. That's interesting. That's a good point. The question of whether Mark would have been fired for doing the same thing, I think, is spurious because I don't think he would have run the professional in place of the special, assuming he wouldn't have cut bait long before the point the situation got to. I also don't think the point was that Kay was bad at her job. It was that she didn't have the mindset to do Mark's job. Interesting. And then finally he says, sorry, my vote for coolest Columbo murder goes to Robert Culp and his murder glasses in Death Lends a Hand. Patrick Williams' score and the tape recorder countdown notwithstanding, Kay's murder of Mark is, at best, a distant second to that. And on any given day, it might flip positions with Nicole Williamson's murder of Charlie in How to Dial a Murder. Other than Steve's going down his Mrs. Columbo rabbit hole again, I enjoyed this podcast, even though I had to find the contact information on my own. Sincerely, Victor. Okay, I had to find the contact. So if you are interested in writing us, and we will read it, on the air, so to speak, you can email us at columboconfab@gmail.com. This is a fact that we always forget to bring up. You can also look for us on Facebook. I think we have 20-something members now, which is great. Just look for Columbo Confab podcast on Facebook. And again, that email address is columboconfab@gmail.com.
So Victor doesn't agree with my opinion that Mrs. Columbo is fictional?
No, I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
Well, I think after he listens to tonight's episode, No Wedding Ring, I think he'll agree with me.
Okay, but he writes a second email. And
Okay.
it says, upon further reflection.
Okay.
Upon further reflection, maybe Make Me a Perfect Murder isn't among my top 5 Columbo episodes, but it's definitely among my top 10, maybe number 7. Right now, my top 5 is probably, and this is in the old 70s series, number 1, Requiem for a Falling Star. And he says in parentheses, this and the Man from U.N.C.L.E. episode, The Galatea Affair, made me a Jackson Gillis fan, which eventually led to my watching Perry Mason. Number 2, Death Lends a Hand. He calls it A Helping Hand, but it's not, I swear. At least over here it's called Death Lends a Hand. Number 3, Identity Crisis, which, sorry, Victor, got to apologize for that, because we did that last episode, and both of us were just kind of mad about it. A Friend Indeed, and then A Candidate for Crime. So, we've done one of those. And for the new series, he likes, number 1, Agenda for Murder. Number 2, A Bird in the Hand. Number 3, Columbo Goes to the Guillotine.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Number 4, Columbo Cries Wolf. And number 5, Columbo Goes to College.
Very good. All right.
And just one more thing, the actor in The Professional was the episode director, James Frawley. And that's all we have in terms of feedback. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I'm just wondering if I've persuaded you yet. Because obviously you're going to try to persuade me of your opinion that there is a Mrs. Columbo. Have I persuaded you?
You may as well go on to, like, a Talking Heads TV show and try to convince Ann Coulter to vote for Hillary Clinton. That's not going to happen. Mrs. Columbo exists. She exists.
Isn't there an episode I think I saw on one of the discs for this season where it says like the death of Mrs. Columbo?
You would be correct. It's called Rest.
Is that the episode you seem to think that will convince me otherwise?
I'm not going to say because you will watch it prematurely.
Okay.
We just haven't gotten to that episode yet. That's all. All right. So
all right.
It's time,
ready,
Steve, for you to. And I'm always get really excited at this part, and then sometimes I get really disappointed once I find out what we're watching. But
okay.
Let's see. Let's spin that swiggin' wheel of the 70s, Steve, and we'll see what we get.
Let's do it. Yay.
All right. It is going to be another late one. Try and Catch Me, starring Ruth Gordon as a mystery author.
Ruth Gordon. I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Yeah, you have.
I have?
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about it?
No.
All right. Oh.
All right.
Try and Catch Me. So it doesn't have Tom Hanks or
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
So don't watch that movie, just like you shouldn't watch Rodney Dangerfield movies or 50 Shades of Grey or anything like that.
I'll definitely want to watch that.
Try and Catch Me. I know you know of this one. 3 minutes into watching it, you'll be like, "Oh, that one," and then.
Did we watch it together?
Yeah, we watched it together. It was probably like 11
Oh,
o'clock at night. We were drinking, and yeah.
Was it that old lady
Yeah, it's the one with the old lady.
from Maude and
Harold and Maude, yeah.
Harold and Maude? Yes, that's a good one.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I don't want to say anymore. I hate it. Maybe you won't know until you listen to the next podcast.
No, that's a good one. Oh, wait, no. I mean, I hate it. Maybe. All right, everybody. Until next time, good night, and we'll see you with Try and Catch Me. Say good night, Steve.
Toodles.
Thank you for listening to the Columbo Confab podcast. To email us with a comment or question, write to columboconfab@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @ColumboConfab, and look for us on Facebook. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us some happy reviews on iTunes. I love clues. Hello, I'm Sean, and I'm the host of the 1001 Movies podcast, based on the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Each episode, I randomly pick a film from the book and spend about 10 minutes talking about its director, the cast, the genre, and my personal thoughts on the merits of the film. Each delicious yet bite-sized episode contains information about a film from practically any genre, any country, or any year. Check us out on iTunes and we'll send you free cookies. Some restrictions apply.